Welcome to the deep dive. You know I love a good success story, and you have given us an absolute treasure trove of intel on Cabanga Media Group.
I know you've been looking forward to this one.
Oh yeah, we've got everything from course descriptions to client lists, so I think we can really get into the nitty-gritty of their blueprint and pull out some gems.
And there are a lot of gems. I mean, what's crazy is how they've gone from, just publishing little business articles in South Africa back in 2019 to, this digital empire spanning the continent. Over 1.3 million followers last time I checked.
Yeah, that's huge. And a super diverse portfolio, too.
Right. It's not just like, oh, we're the business article people. They've done some really strategic diversifying.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. What are we talking about with this diversification?
Well, for one, they've got Cabanga Integrated Digital Services, or IDS for short, and it's like a full-blown digital agency.
Gotcha. And who are they working with?
Their client list is wild. You've got solar installation companies in the U.S., construction firms in Kenya, healthcare providers in Nigeria.
Oh, wow. So they're not just serving one industry or even one continent.
Nope. If a U.S. company is hiring them, that means they're doing something right. I mean, clearly these strategies they're using are applicable beyond just Africa's borders.
For sure. But how does this tie into their other ventures like Cabanga Lifestyle? I feel like that's totally different vibe.
It is different, but it's smart. Cabanga Lifestyle is all about luxury travel and curated experiences.
I've seen some of their stuff online.
Yeah, tapping into that whole desire for authentic, adventures and really getting away from the everyday. I mean, look at their Travel to Western Cape Instagram page, 7.3 million video views.
Wow. 7.3 million.
I know, it's insane. But they're not just selling trips, they're selling emotion stories, that feeling of connecting to something bigger.
Yeah, it seems like they've figured out how to craft experiences that resonate on a deeper level. Is that part of their overall philosophy, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where it gets really interesting because their Cabanga Digital Navigator course seems to be at the heart of everything. It's described as this advanced digital marketing course. But when you really dig into it, it's less about quick tricks and more about these enduring frameworks.
Okay, and what are these magical frameworks? Spill the beans.
Well, they've got some catchy names. We're talking about things like the visibility matrix, Build-A-Beast theory, waterhole theory, and emotional banking.
Right, those names definitely pique my interest. So what's the deal with these frameworks? What is, say, the visibility matrix all about?
Think of it as a laser targeting system for your content. Let's say you're a startup and you're trying to, attract investors. The visibility matrix forces you to clarify who your audience is, what platforms they use, what message will resonate with them, and how your budget, aligns with all of that.
Makes sense. So it's like no more throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Exactly. It's about focus and strategy, and I think that applies to any business, not just startups.
Okay, I'm sold on that one. But what about this field-to-beast theory? It sounds intriguing.
I know, right? So basically, it's all about anticipating, those audience shifts in the digital landscape.
Because people are constantly moving between platforms.
Exactly. And just like wildebeests migrate across the Serengeti, right? Digital consumers are migrating too.
Yeah.
So the theory is that by really understanding these trends, you can kind of predict where your audience is heading and position yourself, strategically before your competitors catch on.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's about being agile and really adapting to that ever-changing digital world.
Right, and that leads us to the waterhole theory, which is all about meeting your customers where they are online. Instead of just shouting into the void, you're joining them at their favorite watering holes.
Okay, I like that analogy. So you're talking about actively engaging, right? Not just broadcasting your message, but actually building relationships, becoming part of the conversation.
Yes. And that leads to way stronger connections and ultimately more loyal customers because you're not just some random brand. You're someone they actually, trust and like.
Makes sense. Okay, last one, emotional banking. What's that all about? It seems kind of different from the others.
It is a little different. Emotional banking is really about shifting the focus away from just transactions and more towards, relationships. It's about creating content that resonates on a deeper level, content that builds trust and authenticity. Think about why you choose to support certain brands.
That's a good point. It's not always about the cheapest price or the most convenient option.
Right. Sometimes it's about a deeper connection, right? Maybe it's a shared set of values or just, a feeling that you get from that brand.
Yeah, I recently bought from this small business because I was really drawn to their commitment to sustainability.
See, that's emotional banking in action. It's about crafting a narrative that connects with your audience on an emotional level, creating that sense of community and shared purpose.
I'm starting to see how these frameworks all tie together.
They really do.
Yeah.
But let's get into how these translate into Cabanga's actual business operations. I mean, their publishing arm seems especially expansive. We're talking about a whole network of regional magazines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got Cabanga Magazine in South Africa, Mwakani Magazine in Botswana, Gnizo Magazine in Zambia, Fikiria Magazine in East Africa.
Hold on. You're going to have to slow down.
Sorry. They also have Kafunga Magazine in Zimbabwe, Ironu Magazine in West Africa, Mufakir Magazine in North Africa, and Yada Magazine in Ethiopia.
Wow. That's quite a footprint.
It is.
But are they just like replicating the same content across all of these publications?
That's what I thought at first, but no, they're not. Each magazine is tailored to its specific region. They're addressing the unique challenges and opportunities that are relevant to that audience. For example, Mwakani Magazine focuses on Botswana's booming tourism industry, right? While Gnizo Magazine provides insights for Zambian entrepreneurs who are trying to navigate a very complex regulatory landscape.
So they're really demonstrating a deep understanding of each market, building that trust by speaking directly to the needs of their audience. That's smart. But what about their personal branding services? How does that fit into the picture?
It's a really fascinating addition to their portfolio, I think, because in a world where, everyone is just constantly self-promoting, Cabanga seems to be taking a different approach. They're focusing on authenticity and results-driven copywriting.
Okay, so they're helping people craft compelling personal brands that actually cut through the noise and resonate with their target audience.
Exactly. And I think this is especially relevant now, with social media being so saturated.
Yeah, for sure. And not just in the B2B space. Personal branding is becoming more and more important no matter what you do. But I'm curious how they differentiate themselves in a market that's getting so crowded.
Yeah, there are a lot of personal branding experts out there now. But one thing that sets Cabanga apart is their emphasis on storytelling.
Okay, so they're not just creating like these generic profiles.
Yeah.
They're actually digging deep to uncover those unique experiences and values that make each individual stand out.
Exactly. And they're applying those same frameworks we talked about earlier, the visibility matrix, wildebeest theory, waterhole theory, and emotional banking to personal branding.
So they're helping people leverage those same principles to build authentic connections and, actually achieve their goals, whether that's landing their dream job, attracting investors, or growing their business.
Exactly.
It's remarkable how they've managed to create this ecosystem where each part of the business kind of feeds into the others. Their publishing arm provides this platform for showcasing their digital services, and that in turn drives demand for their personal branding packages.
It's a really powerful network effect. And we can't forget about the Cabanga Digital Navigator Course. By sharing their knowledge in those frameworks, they're positioning themselves as thought leaders while also, empowering a new generation of digitally savvy entrepreneurs.
And those entrepreneurs become success stories, which further validates Cabanga's methods and attracts even more clients. It's a brilliant strategy.
It really is. They've managed to create this self-perpetuating cycle of success that's fueled by innovation, a deep understanding of their target market, and this commitment to delivering real value.
But I do have one question.
Yeah.
Is the wildebeest theory always accurate? I mean, are there times when it's failed to predict those audience shifts?
That's a great question, and I think it highlights the importance of continuous learning and adaptation. No model is perfect, and the digital landscape is constantly changing.
So it's not just about applying these frameworks blindly. It's about using them as a starting point and then constantly adapting your approach based on, real-world feedback and data.
Exactly. Cabanga's success isn't about having all the answers. It's about their willingness to experiment, to learn, and to evolve.
I love that. So speaking of adapting, how has Cabanga leveraged the waterhole theory to build those meaningful connections with their audience?
Well, they've been incredibly strategic about identifying, those online spaces where their target audience congregates and then actively engaging in those communities. For example, they've established a really strong presence in several LinkedIn groups that are dedicated to African entrepreneurship.
So it's not just about being present. It's about actively participating, sharing valuable insights, and building relationships.
Exactly. They're not just trying to sell their services. They're genuinely contributing to the conversation and establishing themselves as thought leaders in their space.
This waterhole theory reminds me of a time when I was struggling to get my own business off the ground.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Well, I was so focused on just, promoting my services that I kind of forgot about the importance of building relationships and, connecting with my target audience on a deeper level.
It's a common mistake.
It is, and it wasn't until I started actively engaging in relevant online communities that I really started to see traction.
Yeah, it just highlights the importance of meeting your audience where they are not expecting them to just come to you.
Okay, now let's talk about emotional banking for a second. It's a compelling concept, but is it really anything more than just, a fancy term for good customer service?
Well, it's definitely related to customer service, but I think it goes deeper than that. It's about really understanding your audience's values and aspirations and creating content and experiences that resonate with those deeper needs. It's about building a brand that people believe in and feel connected to.
Okay, I get that. Can you give me a specific example of how Kabanga has used emotional banking to create those lasting connections?
Sure, think about their Travel to Western Cape Instagram page. They don't just post, generic travel photos. They showcase the stories of local artisans, entrepreneurs, and communities. It gives their audience this glimpse into the heart and soul of the region.
So they're not just selling a destination, they're selling an experience, a story, a feeling.
Exactly. They're creating content that sparks emotions, builds trust, and fosters a sense of community. And that's what emotional banking is all about.
Okay, so we've covered the strategic diversification, the frameworks, the publishing arm, and the personal branding services. What else can we glean from Kabanga's success story so far?
I think one of the most impressive things about their journey is this ability to connect the dots between seemingly very different ventures.
Okay, I'm listening. What do you mean?
Well, on the surface, publishing regional magazines, running a digital agency, offering personal branding services, and curating luxury travel experiences, those seem like very different businesses.
Yeah, at first glance, they do.
But Kabanga has masterfully kind of woven these elements together to create this cohesive and synergistic ecosystem.
So it's not just about diversifying for the sake of diversifying. It's about finding those strategic connections that amplify your impact.
Exactly. Each venture reinforces and supports the others, and that creates this virtuous cycle of growth and influence.
And at the core of this success is their deep understanding of the African market and their ability to tailor their offerings to the specific needs and aspirations of their audience.
Absolutely. They've recognized that Africa is not a monolith. It's this vibrant tapestry of cultures, languages, and perspectives, and they've embraced that diversity in everything they do.
I'm so curious to explore this further. I think their approach to localized publishing and their ability to understand the nuances of each market seems particularly insightful. Let's delve into that next.
Let's do it. Their localized approach to publishing is so fascinating. It's not just about translating content. It's about understanding the cultural nuances, the business landscape, the aspirations of each region.
Can you give me like a specific example of how they've tailored content to resonate with a particular market?
Absolutely. So take their publication, Iron Magazine, which targets West Africa. They recently did a series of articles on, the challenges and opportunities of doing business in Nigeria's tech sector, which is booming, by the way.
Yeah, Nigeria's tech scene is huge right now.
Huge. And these articles were great. They had interviews with local entrepreneurs, insights from industry experts, and even like practical advice for navigating the regulatory environment there, which is, pretty complex.
So they're providing valuable, actionable information that's directly relevant to the needs of their audience. It's no wonder they've been so successful in building trust and credibility.
Exactly. It's all about demonstrating a genuine understanding of the market and offering solutions that are tailored to those specific needs.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast to those generic one-size-fits-all approaches that we see so often, in the digital space.
Right. And it highlights the importance of going beyond just, surface level research. Kabanga's team takes the time to truly understand the markets they serve, and that investment pays off big time in the form of engagement and loyalty.
This whole deep understanding of specific markets thing reminds me of another one of their frameworks, the wildebeest theory. How have they used that to anticipate shifts in the digital world?
They've been incredibly adept at identifying those emerging platforms and trends. For example, they were one of the first media companies in Africa to really establish a presence on TikTok.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they recognized its potential to reach a younger, more digitally savvy audience early on.
So they weren't afraid to experiment, even if it meant venturing into, like, uncharted territory.
Exactly. They didn't just stick with what they knew. They were willing to take calculated risks and embrace those new opportunities.
And that willingness to adapt seems to be a recurring theme in their success story.
It really is. They're not complacent. They're constantly seeking ways to improve, to innovate, to stay ahead of the curve.
It's inspiring to see a company that's so committed to continuous learning and growth.
It is. And it's a valuable lesson for anyone operating in today's rapidly changing digital landscape.
Okay, so we've talked about their localized approach to publishing, their ability to anticipate digital trends, and their mastery of those core frameworks. But what about their impact on the African business landscape as a whole? How are they shaping the ecosystem?
I think their impact has been pretty significant. They're not just building a business. They're fostering an entrepreneurial spirit and empowering individuals and businesses to thrive in the digital age.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So think about their digital agency IDS. They're not just providing services, they're educating their clients, they're empowering them to take ownership of their digital presence.
So they're not just handing over a finished product, they're sharing their knowledge and expertise, helping their clients become more digitally savvy.
Exactly. They're investing in the long-term success of their clients. And that approach has earned them this reputation as trusted advisors and partners.
It's a win-win scenario. They build stronger relationships with their clients, and their clients gain those skills and knowledge they need to succeed in the digital world.
Precisely. And this commitment to empowerment extends beyond just their client base. Their Cabanga Digital Navigator course is making waves across the continent.
Oh yeah, tell me more about this course. What makes it so unique?
It's not your typical digital marketing course. They're not just teaching people how to use the latest tools or run ads. They're imparting those core frameworks, those strategic principles that can be applied to any business or industry.
So they're teaching people how to think strategically, how to adapt, to change, how to build lasting success in the digital age.
Exactly. And the results have been so impressive. Graduates of the course have gone on to launch successful businesses, secure funding, and even land dream jobs.
Wow. It's a testament to the power of education and mentorship.
It is, and it speaks volumes about Cabanga's commitment to building a more vibrant and prosperous Africa. They're not just chasing profits, they're investing in the future of the continent.
Their story is so inspiring. They've managed to build this thriving business while simultaneously empowering others and making a positive impact on the community.
It's amazing, right? Their success is a testament to the power of vision, innovation, and a deep understanding of the African market.
But what about those of us who aren't based in Africa? Can we still learn from their journey?
Oh, absolutely. While their specific context is unique to the African market, the principles they've applied are universal.
I see what you mean. The frameworks, the focus on understanding your target audience, the emphasis on building genuine connections. These are all concepts that can be applied to any business or industry, regardless of location.
Exactly. Their story is a reminder that success in the digital age is not just about mastering the latest technology or, following the latest trends. It's about understanding human behavior, building trust, and delivering real value.
And it's about being adaptable, willing to experiment, and constantly seeking ways to improve and grow.
Precisely. Kabanga's journey is like a masterclass in digital entrepreneurship, and there's something for everyone to learn from their experience.
Okay, but let's bring it back to those impactful frameworks for a second. How have they utilized the waterhole theory to foster those genuine connections with their audience?
They've done such a good job of identifying and infiltrating those digital watering holes where their target audience congregates. They're active participants in online forums, industry-specific social media groups, and even just relevant blog comment sections.
So they're not just lurking, they're actively engaging, sharing their expertise, and building relationships.
Exactly. And it's a smart strategy, but it requires, a significant investment of time and effort.
It does. But Cabanga understands that building trust and credibility takes time and consistent effort. It's not about those quick wins. It's about building meaningful connections that lead to long-term loyalty.
Right. Those long-term relationships are what ultimately drive sustainable growth.
Exactly. It's about playing the long game, investing in your audience, and creating a community around your brand. This actually reminds me of a personal experience I had with a small business that really mastered the art of emotional banking.
Oh, tell me more.
There's this local bookstore that I used to go to all the time. And they didn't just sell books, they created an experience. The staff was so knowledgeable and passionate, and they always went above and beyond to help me find exactly what I was looking for.
So they were creating that emotional connection, fostering a sense of community around their brand.
Exactly. I felt like more than just a customer. I felt like a valued member of their community. And that's what kept me coming back, even when I could have easily, bought books online for a cheaper price.
It's a perfect example of how emotional banking can translate into, real-world loyalty and success.
Okay, now I want to explore Cabanga's personal branding services a bit further.
I'm happy to delve into that. What specifically are you curious about?
Well, we've discussed their focus on authenticity and storytelling, but how do they actually differentiate themselves in a market that's becoming so crowded? What makes their approach unique?
One key differentiator is their deep understanding of the African market. They recognize that personal branding in Africa is not just about creating a flashy online presence. It's about navigating cultural nuances and building trust within a specific community.
So they're not just applying generic personal branding principles. They're tailoring their approach to the specific needs of the African market.
Exactly. They understand that what works in, New York or London might not resonate in Lagos or Nairobi. And they've developed strategies that are specifically designed to help individuals build authentic and impactful personal brands within, the African context.
That's a really smart move. They're leveraging their deep knowledge of the market to fill a specific need.
Yeah.
But can you give me a concrete example of how they've helped someone build a successful personal brand?
Absolutely. So they recently worked with this young entrepreneur in Kenya who was launching a new line of sustainable fashion accessories.
Interesting. What was their approach?
They helped her craft this really compelling brand story that highlighted her passion for sustainability, her commitment to empowering local artisans, and her vision for creating a more ethical fashion industry.
So they helped her connect with her target audience on a deeper level, appealing to their values and aspirations.
Exactly. And they didn't stop there. They also helped her develop a strong visual identity, create engaging content, and build a strategic online presence across multiple platforms.
So they provided this comprehensive suite of services, all tailored to her specific needs and goals.
They did. And the results were so impressive. I mean, within a few months of launching her brand, she had secured partnerships with several major retailers, generated a ton of media buzz, and built a loyal following of customers who shared her values.
It's a fantastic example of how Cabanga's personal branding services can help individuals achieve real-world success.
It is. And it highlights the importance of finding a partner who understands your market, your values, and your vision.
Speaking of understanding the market, I want to circle back to the visibility matrix for a second. You mentioned that it helps businesses and individuals align their media choices, target audience, content motive, and budget. But how does that translate into, actionable strategies? Can you walk me through a real-world example?
Sure. Imagine you're a small business owner in South Africa, and you want to launch a new line of artisanal coffee beans. The visibility matrix would guide you through a series of questions to help you clarify your goals and develop a targeted strategy.
Okay, I'm following so far. What kind of questions?
Well, the first question would be, who is your target audience? Are you targeting coffee aficionados, busy professionals, or health-conscious consumers? Once you've defined your audience, you can then determine which media platforms they frequent. Are they on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? Or do they prefer, niche online communities or blogs?
So it's about understanding not just who your audience is, but where they hang out online.
Exactly. The next question would be, what is your content motive? Are you trying to educate your audience about your unique coffee beans, build brand awareness, or drive sales? The answer to that question will inform the type of content you create.
So you're aligning your content with your specific goals. What about the budget? How does that fit into the visibility matrix?
Once you defined your audience, chosen your platforms, and clarified your content motive, you can then allocate your budget accordingly. Do you need to invest in paid advertising, influencer, marketing, content creation? Or can you achieve your goals through, organic reach and community engagement?
So it's this holistic approach that ensures every decision is aligned with your overall strategy.
Exactly. The visibility matrix helps you avoid wasting time and money on ineffective tactics by forcing you to think strategically about every aspect of your digital presence.
I can see how that would be a valuable tool for any business or individual looking to maximize their impact in the digital space. But let's shift gears for a moment and revisit the wildebeest theory.
Sure, happy to delve back into that. What specifically are you curious about?
Well, we've talked about the importance of anticipating digital trends, but how do you actually identify those emerging platforms of behaviors? It's easy to look back and say, oh, TikTok was clearly going to be huge, but how can you spot those trends before they become mainstream?
That's a great question, and it highlights the importance of staying curious and actively engaging with the digital landscape.
What do you mean by actively engaging?
It's not enough to just passively consume content. You need to be actively participating in online communities, experimenting with new platforms, and paying attention to what's happening on the fringes of the internet.
So it's about being an early adopter, being willing to explore and experiment.
Exactly. And it's about paying attention to the signals, the early indicators that suggest a platform or a trend is gaining momentum.
Can you give me an example of such a signal?
Absolutely. One early indicator of TikTok's rise was the increasing popularity of short-form video content on other platforms like Instagram and Snapchat.
So they were seeing a shift in user behavior, a growing preference for a specific type of content.
Exactly. And by recognizing that trend early on, Cabanga was able to establish a really strong presence on TikTok before many of their competitors even realized its potential.
It's a good reminder that the most valuable insights often come from paying attention to those subtle shifts in user behavior, not just the headlines.
I agree. It's about being observant, curious, and willing to experiment.
Okay, so we've covered the visibility matrix, the Waldbees theory, the waterhole theory, and emotional banking. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Uh-huh.
Do you think these frameworks are specific to the digital world, or can they be applied to other areas of business or even personal life?
That's a fascinating question. While these frameworks were developed, within the context of digital marketing, I believe the underlying principles are applicable to a wide range of scenarios.
I see what you mean. The visibility matrix, for example, could be used to plan a product launch or even a personal project. It's all about clarifying your goals, identifying your target audience, and developing a strategic approach.
Exactly. And the waterhole theory could be applied to networking, building relationships, or even finding a romantic partner.
Uh-huh. I like that. It's all about identifying the spaces where your target audience congregates and then, actively engaging in those communities.
Precisely. And emotional banking is all about building trust, fostering genuine connections, and creating a sense of community.
Those are all valuable skills regardless of your industry or personal goals.
Yeah.
So in a way, Kabanga's frameworks offer a blueprint for success, not just in the digital world, but in life itself.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. Their story reminds us that success is not just about mastering the technical aspects of our chosen field. It's about understanding human behavior, building relationships, and creating a positive impact on the world.
And it's about being adaptable, willing to experiment, and constantly seeking ways to improve and grow.
Absolutely. Kabanga's journey is an inspiration to us all, and their story is far from over. I'm so excited to see what they achieve in the years to come.
Too. Their vision, their innovation, and their commitment to empowering others are truly remarkable.
They're a shining example of what's possible when you combine, a deep understanding of your market with a passion for making a difference.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Cabanga Media Group, what's the one piece of advice you would give our listeners based on what we've learned so far?
If I had to distill it down to one essential piece of wisdom, it would be this. Never underestimate the power of authenticity. In a world that's so saturated with noise and superficiality, genuine connection is what truly matters.
I love that. It's about being true to yourself, your values, and your vision. And it's about building relationships based on trust and mutual respect.
Exactly. Kabanga's success is a testament to the power of authenticity, and it's a reminder that we can achieve great things when we stay true to ourselves and our purpose.
But how can our listeners, who maybe aren't building a digital media empire, apply this principle of authenticity to their own life or work? What does that look like in practice?
Well, it starts with self-awareness. Take some time to reflect on your values, your strengths, and your passions. What makes you unique? What do you want to contribute to the world?
So it's about identifying your core values and letting those values guide your decisions and actions.
Exactly. Once you have a clear understanding of who you are and what you stand for, it becomes much easier to communicate authentically with others.
It's about aligning your actions with your words, walking the talk.
Precisely. And it's about being vulnerable. Being willing to share your story, your struggles, and your triumphs. People connect with authenticity with realness.
So it's not about presenting this perfect facade. It's about being human, being relatable.
Exactly. And when you're authentic, when you're genuine, you attract people who share your values, who resonate with your message, who believe in what you're doing.
And those are the people who will become your loyal customers, your biggest supporters, your partners in success.
Absolutely. Authenticity is the foundation of strong relationships, and strong relationships are the key to lasting success.
I love that. So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's keep this principle of authenticity in mind. How can we apply it to our own endeavors? How can we leverage it to build a business, a career, or a life that's both meaningful and impactful?
And I'm excited to explore those questions further.
Okay, so we've explored Cabanga's journey, their frameworks, and the impact they've had. But I want to keep unpacking this idea of authenticity. You mentioned like the foundation of strong relationships and lasting success, right?
Yeah.
But how can our listener apply that to their own work or even personal life? I mean, they're probably not building a digital media empire.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it all starts with self-awareness,
Yeah.
Like, what are your core values? What are you truly passionate about? What makes you unique?
So it's about identifying those things that really make you tick. What drives you, what you stand for.
Exactly. And then it's about making sure your actions are actually aligned with those values, walking the talk and being true to yourself in everything you do.
So it's not just about saying the right things. It's about living your values,
Yeah.
letting them guide your decisions and your interactions.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be willing to share your story, your struggles, and your wins, too. People connect with authenticity, with realness.
So it's not about putting on this perfect facade. It's about being being relatable.
Right. And when you're authentic, when you're genuine, you attract the right people the people who share your values, who resonate with your message, who believe in what you're doing.
And those are the people who will become your loyal customers, your biggest supporters, your partners in success.
Absolutely. Authenticity is the foundation of those strong relationships. And those relationships are the key to lasting success.
It all comes back to that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you would want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think it's this. Never underestimate the power of authenticity. In a world that's so full of noise and superficiality, it's genuine connection that truly matters.
And how can our listeners put this into practice? What does that look like?
We'll start by being really clear about your purpose. You know what you're trying to achieve. What kind of impact do you want to make?
So figure out your why, your reason for being.
Exactly. And then find ways to express that purpose in everything you do. Let your values guide your decisions, your actions, and your interactions with others.
Be intentional. Be mindful of how your actions align with your purpose.
Yes, and be open to feedback. Be willing to learn and grow and be adaptable because things are always changing.
Because authenticity isn't about being stuck in your ways. It's about staying true to yourself while also evolving and adapting.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot where your values intersect with what the world needs.
And when you find that, that's where the magic happens.
I couldn't agree more. Cabanga has shown us what's possible when you combine a deep understanding of your market with a passion for making a difference.
So whether you're an entrepreneur, a marketer, or just someone who wants to live a more authentic life, remember, stay true to yourself, embrace your uniqueness, and never stop learning.
And never be afraid to share your story, your passions, and your purpose with the world.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a fascinating one.
My pleasure, as always.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and inspiration for your own journey. Remember, stay curious, stay adaptable, and never stop learning. And most importantly, stay true to yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.